Happy spooky season, everyone, and welcome back to COFY Studios. Today, we'll be going through 3 of my favorite horror games and horror movies. So let's just jump right into it and give you guys some great content you should be experiencing this Halloween if you're looking for a more relaxed and drink some coffee evening this Thursday. So let's jump into it. Up first, we'll be going through movies, and I'm going to include this first one while it isn't a traditional horror film, and a lot of people would probably consider it more of a Christmas movie. I think it kind of falls into both, so we will be saying A Nightmare Before Christmas. I love this movie, and I really hated it as a kid, surprisingly. I don't think I just really got it, but as I get older, I find myself really enamored with it, and I really enjoy sort of the unabashed, strange energy it gives off. There's no movie really like it. It's spooky and odd, but also has that Christmas flair, and it's very rare you get a movie that can be enjoyed on Halloween and Christmas. And if you're one of those people who likes to get into the Christmas mood in like early November, it can kind of be the perfect energy to sort of mash those two together and start to push you towards that holiday season, if you will. It is spooky, but it's also a good time with the family, and it's not too intense that it can be overwhelming in that sense. So definitely recommend that. Now, if you're looking for a traditional slasher, my always go-to recommendation, while it is cliche, is Scream. I'm not much of a slasher guy. I've never really been into those movies like Friday the 13th and stuff like that. But if I had to pick one that I do really like, I've always loved Scream. From the twists and turns to the comedic moments to the energy it gives off, I feel like everybody knows the basic quote-unquote rules of a horror movie, and the way that this film plays with that is something I've always really loved. It sort of isn't afraid to have these comedic moments while also keeping that dramatic tension and making you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that character died, etc., etc. It isn't afraid to be itself, and it isn't afraid to run in its own lane, and I feel like that's why Scream's always been this franchise that people really love, but it also is sort of up and down in quality at times because it is such a different energy, and that's why I recommend it. It's something unique, and if you're looking for that traditional slasher feel, it's definitely my go-to. Now, I wouldn't be complete talking about my favorite horror movies if I didn't list my #1 favorite horror film of all time, Alien. Yeah, I know this is kind of becoming a quote-unquote basic list a little bit, but yeah, I love Alien. There's something about it that is just so masterful. And with Alien Romulus coming out recently and talking to some of my friends, I'm amazed how many of them haven't actually seen the original Alien. It kind of blows my mind. That movie is amazing, and it has stood the test of time incredibly well. It's spooky, it's scary, and it gives a lot of tension. I'll also throw in a sort of cheating and add a fourth and say Aliens. Let's say you want that horror energy, you don't want to go for like A Nightmare Before Christmas, and you're not a slasher type, but maybe you're a little nervous to get scared or don't want to be, as intensely anxious that Alien can make you. Aliens is a great option, gives the same energy, but is a little more action-focused. If you're a fan of, like, let's say Die Hard or something like that, Aliens is definitely more your speed. And but I recommend both of them equally because I love both of them equally. And I feel like even though that is a kind of cheating moment, it gives a diverse array of different films, and it still captures that xenomorph scurrying around on the ceiling, creepy, where is it, what's going on energy, even though there's a lot more of them in Aliens. But yeah, Aliens, if you haven't seen them, they're great. Seeing people say they haven't seen the originals but have seen Romulus just blows my mind, so yeah, go check this out, please. Moving on to the video game section, we're going to jump in first with a remake that came out last year. It was one of my favorite games last year, which is Dead Space. The remake of Dead Space is fantastic. The original Dead Space is also really good, and if you can't justify doing the full purchase for the remake, the original holds up very well, so definitely check that out as well. But Dead Space was super formative on my tastes when I was a kid. We just talked about Alien, and the reason I put them back-to-back is a lot of my love of Dead Space came from me being interested in Alien when I was a kid, but not having seen the film, being young, but being able to play the game when I was a teenager got me interested in sci-fi horror and made me jump into the Alien movies, the Predator films, all those sort of things. A lot of that came from my love of Dead Space as a teenager. And so if you're looking for that spooky sci-fi, creepy energy trapped on a spaceship, there is no better game than Dead Space. The ambiance, the aesthetic, it's just immaculate. I love everything about it. So yeah, definitely check that out. Speaking of keeping things connected, Alien Isolation. Bet you weren't expecting that, huh? Keeping you on your toes. Yeah, I'm talking about Alien a lot this video, but when it comes to horror, that's kind of my favorite thing. So yeah, Alien. Alien Isolation's AI is incredible, and it's the entire reason I think this game is so good. The way it stalks you around the spaceship, the way it sort of creeps along and attempts to jump scare you, it feels so much more intelligent than enemies in other games. And considering it's a decade old now almost, it's even more impressive considering how good it runs today. And the game is fairly affordable these days as well. So it's a great budget option if you're looking for good scares and an immersive experience on Halloween. So definitely check that out. And finally, last but not least, what I'd probably say is my favorite horror game of the last 2 years, I'm gonna throw in Resident Evil 4 Remake. Now, you may be wondering, why are you not including Alan Wake 2? Didn't you rate that like way higher than RE4 Remake last year? I did, but Alan Wake 2 depends upon you having played the other Alan Wake games, and if you're looking to sort of jump into an experience for the first time, it's very tough to do that with Alan Wake 2. It depends on you having experienced these other games throughout time. And so when I look back on it now, I find myself looking at RE4 as an easier recommendation. Even though it's in the middle of the Resident Evil franchise, you don't have to have played any of the other games to enjoy RE4. You can jump right in. It does a good job of catching you up. You can immediately relate to the characters. And if you're looking for a more action-oriented horror experience, this is absolutely it. It has those tense moments, it has those scary moments, but at the same time, it isn't afraid to kind of be goofy and fun. Similar to how I feel about Aliens is how I feel about RE4. It has great action, it's just as spooky as some of the earlier Resident Evils, but it hits that nice action niche that maybe people who aren't as into direct horror and the anxiety of all of that are interested in. So yeah, RE4 is a strong recommendation from me. It's one of my favorite games, and I absolutely love it. The remake and the original, by the way. I highly recommend the remake because I really love it. But if you, again, can't afford the full price tag that so many games are expensive these days, the original is available most places and it's just as good. So yeah, those are my horror recommendations for this Halloween. What do you guys recommend for Halloween? Please list games in the comments below. There's tons of amazing horror games out there. Stuff that I would have loved to have mentioned in this video, like Aomori or Doki Doki Literature Club, or, you know, some other really niche Japanese horror games that I like. So yeah, check those out and, you know, leave comments below telling people what to experience. You know, let's make this video a big array of recommendations for people so they can have fun if they're spending some time alone on Halloween. So yeah, so much love to all of you. Thank you so much. Please like, comment, and share the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. See ya. Why hasn't the video ended? Is there gonna be a jump?